Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
You know what that means. It's the Mark Order Podcast. Last week, Ryan was away because he was running from the grind. And now this week, Joe is running from the grind. And I swear, it's just like, we're going to be able to start our own app. And I think we should call it Grinder. That's why I think it's going on here. I am obviously the most consistent in attendance here at the Mark Order Podcast, but we've got a lot to talk about with AEW Dynamite, the fallout from AEW Dynasty, and more. So very excited to kind of dig into this because, Ryan, we were at the show. And I feel like 90% of it was great. And then we were really tired for 10% of it. And a weird ending that they kind of justified tonight, sort of. We'll get into all of it. But Ryan, we were so tired. We were very, very tired on the end of Sunday night into Monday. You took off from work because you're a smart man. We got to attend this show together. It was incredible. It was too long. But we laughed, we cried, we shared some memories. It was a good time. Live wrestling is the best. We were sitting next to someone who it was her first wrestling show ever. She was a full-grown woman. This wasn't like a little kid, but it had that little kid effect. So she was freaking out and everything. She didn't mind the ending. She was like, that guy cheated. That guy's a motherfucker. Like, she was pissed. It worked on her. But Ryan, what did you think of AEW Dynasty? And most importantly, what did you think of the macaroni and cheese like balls that we got at the Cheesecake Factory before? Because obviously I couldn't have them.
So I got distracted with which to start with. So we'll start with Cheesecake Factory. The macaroni and cheese balls.
Do you want to start with Grinder? It's a great name for an app. I just thought of it now.
It is a great name. Hold on, let me see if it's been. Oops. We should rethink that.
Wait.
Macaroni and cheese balls were delicious. I would encourage anyone to get them if they ever go to Cheesecake Factories.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure because even though cheesecake is obviously not macaroni and cheese, it's still got cheese in the name. So it's like, you better deliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's fried too. Fried.
We got to see that guy, our dear friend.
We did get to see that guy. He was very upset he couldn't go to the wrestling show.
Yeah, he was like, I can't stay up past 9 p.m. Never mind your fucking 1 a.m. start time for the main event.
Too late. It goes too late. I'm not one to I stay up late, but there's just something especially on a Sunday. The
Sunday aspect of it kills because it's like you don't have that recovery day. But we had a good time.
And we had a great time. I mean, again, ignoring how long it went, I thought it was a really fun pay-per-view, really good. The woman next to us was hilarious.
She was amazing.
She was the highlight of everything. She was not a fan of the concerto, I think.
No, she was freaking. What was so fun too is I always feel kind of out of place because I got into wrestling as an adult. And you don't meet a lot of people that got into wrestling as an adult. And you definitely don't meet a lot of women that got into wrestling as an adult, I feel like. So it was like very fun to be like, oh, I had that reaction as a grown-up. And it was so fun because it was her first show, but she was biting at everything. Like you said, that concerto, she was like, no, she was losing it.
Well, and then at some point, she started to like apologize to you. I'm sorry. And you're like, no, this is the greatest thing ever. It was
the best. Yeah, she saw I was taking video And then I kind of explained to her, like, oh, I do wrestling podcasting or whatever. We both do, and I do it for a site or whatever. And then she felt bad because she was like, oh my God, all my reactions are going to be on your videos. And I'm like, it makes them so much better. It makes it so much more fun. But the real thing with taking videos, Ryan saw, is like, I can't get through any pyro without jumping. So there's just like my camera just jerks in the middle.
I'm no better.
Of all my videos.
And pyro will always get me. I'm one of those people that I jump at like those loud noises.
Even if you know it's coming, because even if I know it's coming, I still jump.
90% of the time, I'll still jump. There's a couple times I've forgotten it, but
that makes me feel better. Actually, I'm not gonna lie.
If I have the exact timing of when I think it's coming, I'm fine. But if it's like there's even a hesitation on if it will go off or not, it gets me.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Just.
So I think we were both in agreement that the show was it was gas from front to back. We weren't a fan of the Jericho booking, obviously, and the main event suffered from a few things. One, just fatigue. Just fatigue, because the audience had been there for an entire business day already. So we were like exhausted. And then for two super ultra violent guys, it wasn't a super ultra violent match. So it kind of started with them working each other over. And we were like, oh, sick. It's 11:45 at night and you guys are working each other over. I can't wait to see where this goes. But then like it picked up around the swerve stomp, I feel like. And then everybody kind of popped for the Bucks return, and then everybody just left feeling kind of deflated because I think the overwhelming sentiment was people wanted Swerve to win, and a lot of people thought he was gonna. But those were kind of my takeaways. The triple threat was obviously fucking insane. Ospreay being over live is nuts. I was so surprised by how many people were biting at the Kevin Knight spots, which was really fun. Like the energy there was incredible. And even on Julia Hart and Mercedes, like people were biting at the hope spots. It was a really fun, even though you knew Mercedes was going to win, like people were into it in a way that wasn't like, oh, what a good match. But we know like they were rooting for Julia properly. So those were kind of my takeaways. If there's anything else that you want to add.
I mean, I don't know why you're commenting on a women's match. You were getting chicken tenders, of course.
Obviously.
But
no, that was Jericho's match, not chicken tenders.
Yes,
but
yes, you legitimately did just not see Jericho's match.
I saw some of it from the top because I have like I think because I'm such a baseball girl, like going to events, I learned that like you wait till the end of the half inning if you can, you know what I mean, or at least between pitches. And then at the wrestling match, I was like, felt good to stretch my legs anyway. And I was standing there, but I try to time it better.
Yeah, it doesn't work well with wrestling though because matches can go so long, so that if you're just standing there, you could be standing there for 20 minutes. But my takeaway is the length of the pay-per-view absolutely impacts how crowds react to the main event. I mean, you're right. They worked each other over in a weird way, and I'm like, this probably would have been fine in a 3-hour pay-per-view. And by 3 I mean 7 to 10. But once you're getting into, you have 7 to 12:30, people are like, all right, we're kind of hitting our limit here. And then the Hurt Business Syndicate is very, very.
Is it me or is it Ryan? One of us is frozen. I'm getting a weird feedback sound and Ryan is frozen. Is it me or is it Ryan? Oh my gosh, it wasn't me for once? Oh, that's wild. I started hearing like this helicopter tickering in my ear too. Something went kind of funny with the mic. I'm still getting it. I can't hear Ryan. Can you guys hear Ryan? This is so wild. Normally it's me with the tech issues. Brian was frozen and needed to let it go. I respect that. I don't know. Well, why don't we do this, Ryan? Why don't you throw to a commercial? And then we'll see. And you can hear him. And then, okay. If Ryan's good, then I'll back out and come back in. And then, but we'll... Oh, you can't hear him. Okay. I feel like on the SNL sketch where they're like, mic check, 1, 1, 2. Oh, we got a real hot subwoofer here. We got a hot subwoofer. But we're going to throw to a commercial real quick. I'm going to let Ryan do that since he's properly signed into our StreamYard. And we'll be back after that. We'll get some technical glitches out of the way. And if Ryan can't join us, I'll do a very fast solo review for y'all. But for now, commercial.
We'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the Squared Circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
You like your music heavy? Then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway!
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
Or playing in punk bands.
Or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums.
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
Because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at Mark Order Pod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rowe.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. That I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast from two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke Bags? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Oh, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the Year of Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit. Slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
Are we so back?
Can you hear me?
Yay! Ryan is so back. Ryan, you have a fancy background.
Well, so this is the whole set. First of all, this is what I'm using for. This is from 1LT or 2LT, whichever photo he's using that day. He helped with our thumbnail to get us one that shows that we do the Dynamite show review, which I really like. So it's now our thumbnail for YouTube. But the whole issue with my computer is apparently my camera isn't recognizing an NVIDIA drive. And I tried to update an NVIDIA drive. And by doing that, it just removed it completely for some reason.
Well, that's not great.
My mic was tied to that. And what I didn't realize was, even though I thought I canceled, it kept running. So as we were talking, it decided to finish its running. And remove and so then I had to re-add it. And I still have to fix my camera, but I'm not going to do that while we're on air. But I got my mic back, and I'm going to chalk that up to a win.
You got your mic back. We're here. We're going to talk about some Dynamite. We talked a little bit about Dynasty. We're not going to go too into specifics because I think everybody kind of knew what was going on. The Young Bucks coming back, kind of the big news out of that Some other news and notes that we can just briefly touch on is just that damn injury bug that has come back for AEW, unfortunately. Cage and Jay White, who is now having hand surgery, and Orange Cassidy, who had a torn pec, were all planned for this pay-per-view, and all unfortunately got injured right before it, so that's not great. Also, per my boss on Fightful Select, there were some plans for a Jay White heel turn that you can read about over there. I don't know how much detail he went into, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, because I had heard things today that would have been bad, quite frankly. So I'm so bummed for Jay White, because it feels like he was booked poorly, and then he got injured, and then he picked up momentum, and then he got injured. And Orange Cassidy, that's just, I don't know if people realize, because he's like lighthearted and silly and not always in title pictures. There's like but he's a great wrestler thing, which is true, but I don't think people realize how much of like a consistent ratings draw he is. Out of like the top 10 ever AEW drawing views on YouTube segments, he has like 7 out of 10 of them or something insane. Like, he's a really, really valuable asset for the company. Very well liked, to my knowledge. Like, everybody enjoys working with him and things like that. So that is a loss. I don't think it's like a torn off the bone pec situation. It doesn't sound like a hold harmless agreement, Cody Rhodes type deal, but that was torn off the bone. This, I think, is a bit more of a traditional of a tear. So hopefully it won't derail him too far from All In, even if it derails him like now into Double or Nothing or whatever. But those injuries suck. Those are some marquee talent. What it does show you is, thank God we have this roster depth, right? Like, honestly, in both WWE and AEW, there's a good deal of roster depth right now. Sometimes you wouldn't always know it from how they're used, but there really, really is. I feel like AEW's talent rotation has been much better of late. But you still got to see the pay-per-view that we saw, right, at Dynasty. Even without those marquee talent, you still saw Ospreay and Fletcher and Omega Speedball, Ricochet, and Swerve. Like, you have not only so much talent, but a really dynamic swell of it. So that's good, but those injuries suck. Any thoughts on those, Ryan?
Trying to provide extra thoughts here. I mean, more than injuries suck, because I think it's the most an accurate summary of how I feel. Jay White was just back into the main event scene after, I feel like, he got back from that injury, and people were finally like, oh, they're going to use him to his actual potential, and he gets hurt again. Orange Cassidy is always their go-to guy. So, like, in some ways, obviously injuries are not good at all, but maybe they'll finally not rely on him to just be there and have to do some stuff. But his comeback will be huge because people love him. So those are the major two. And then obviously, I feel really bad for Mark Davis and that. I mean, that's just.
Oh yeah, I mentioned Brian Cage and Dunkzilla again. It sucks.
Yeah.
His is a shorter term one, thankfully, but still sucks.
Still, he had just worked his ass off to get back. But yeah, but that's why you have a deep roster, because if you don't, you're gonna have. Could you imagine if they didn't have the roster they had? You have no one at this pay per view. So, but it just sucks. Jay White's the one that stings, because I feel like they were finally positioning him to be that guy, and
yeah. I will say, from the last time he came back from injury, he worked with Hangman immediately, and then had been around the world title, right? Like in the 4-pack and peripherally. So I think it's a good sign there. I hope that it's a quick recovery from him, because that just blows. That really does stink. I am also like heartbroken for Mark Davis. I'm glad that's a shorter term one, but I was actually impressed at how much they were using him so well in that kind of mid-card picture since Kyle Fletcher has taken off into another stratosphere. Right? We saw him against Mark Briscoe in a match that did not need to be on that card. But at the time, before we were exhausted, I I'm always blown away by him, but in this match, like he just had some extra snap on his offense, and you see like the condition he's in, and silly. I mean, Ken level pink gear aside, like that kid is so it, man. Like he is like, it's like you found out about this version of Will Ospreay 5 years early. So I'm glad that they continued to use Mark Davis, because you don't want to see people like that get left behind. But the other big news coming out of the pay-per-view was the Young Bucks, and they show up on the show pretty early in it. So let's move into Dynamite. Guys, leave a thumbs up on this video, please. It would help us so much in the algorithm. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. We are live every Wednesday night after Dynamite. Sometimes we'll throw in like preview shows to pay-per-views. We haven't done one of those in a while. We were doing it for like big Collision episodes as well. But we're always here every Wednesday for the most part, unless something goes super haywire. But if you like talking about all things All Elite, we are here to do that. So let's dive into this episode of Dynamite. Thank you to everyone in the chat too, especially hi, Jesse Ozag. Ryan, is there anything you'd like to say to Jesse? 2LT photo, Big G. I saw Eric Freed's in here earlier. Joe, who blew us off, Lord Kev, Taylor Cannon, Matthew Hooks. Thank you for all of the support. Let's dive in here. We start with the cold open. And here's what's so frustrating, Ryan. The past 6 weeks or so, maybe even a little longer, has been so much better for the Death Riders, but I'm just so over it. I don't want to see it. But this isn't a bad vignette. Like, this isn't a bad cold open. He puts the Death Riders over. And he puts over basically the whole AEW locker room, and reiterates this idea that them not reaching their full potential is kind of his biggest fear, which is something that he has said in interviews. And he talks about Matthew and Nicholas, our evil EVPs who have returned. And he says they didn't know what game they were playing right now, and they needed to figure it out and think carefully before making any moves. He called himself the king in wrestling's new Gilded Age. And then we go into our match where he beats Katsuyori Shibata too quickly for my liking. Like, I felt like this should have had more meat on the bone, because Shibata's in the trio's title picture, it looks. So I wish that had gotten a little bit more offense and time for Shibata. But the match itself was super fun. Like, these two kind of are coming from the same world. I loved commentary making. Anytime Shibata's brain injury comes up, all I can think about is mostly Robert O'Neill, but other people online who are like, echo the Dave Meltzer thing of they took his brain out of his head and they put it back in. That's all I can think about when commentary mentioned it. But a good cold opening here, and a decent match to start us off. The post-match, a whole heck of a lot happens, but let's start with this chunk of things. What did you think of our opener here?
I'm with you on, it feels like they finally have some solid footing on the Death Rider stuff, and it's one of those cases of like, but you've already worn me out, so is it too little too late type deal? We'll see. The match itself was shorter than I expected, to be quite honest with you. It was good, but it was shorter than I thought. It was like less than 10 minutes. But Mox cheated, which makes sense for the story song. It's really the after that I care about. I mean, I hate to say it, the match itself is.
It was short, and kind of, we knew what was going to happen. It was pretty standard, right? He uses the eye poke to win here. But you're right. The thing that we were kind of waiting for, and I thought they might make us wait all episode, I'm glad they didn't, were Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas coming down with bright red lapels. Matthew with the coolest shades that you've ever seen. Very, very tan. And they said they did what they did at Dynasty for Hangman Page, of all people. He says they say that they basically did it for him because they wanted to keep Swerve away from the title. And Matthew says that it was a peace offering to Mox and the Death Riders, that Matthew wanted Mox to come out and talk business. But Kenny Omega comes out instead. He is their like break glass guy. Like if something has gone wrong and weird, throw Kenny Omega on it. He calls them basically Shih Tzus that poop on the floor. And he says that he's fighting to restore the feeling and they are fighting to tear down the company that he's given his life for, essentially his health for, time and time again. And he goes to fight them in the ring, but Okada comes out and gives them more support. But then Swerve comes out and the Elite go running off. Kenny also getting a nice reference to the cuck chair in here. Calling them the young cucks, basically, is what we got out of this. He says, we all saw you shredding documents last time you were here. We know they were receipts for that chair that faces the master bed. So that that got me pretty good. He was out here in his Adam Sandler outfit too. I appreciated that from Kenny, just like straight up basketball shorts. A lot of meme reaction faces this episode as well. But what did you think about the promos from both of these acts, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega?
The Young Cucks is perfect. Really just their name now. I liked the Young Bucks stuff a lot because it provided the much needed logic I needed while not requiring a full retcon of what they did months ago, which is basically they're kind of still the same characters, which is they're cowards. And they thought instead of fighting with the Death Riders, why don't we team up with them? And the way to get on his good side is to have them hold the title. So I like that is perfectly logical for the character they're playing, which is cowards. Kenny coming out was perfect. A lot
about being cowards.
Who does?
You do, evidently. You have a like expert opinion, expert analysis on what it takes to be a coward.
What have I ever run from except everything?
The grind last week.
Are we really doing that now, Missy?
Okay, first of all, don't you missy me, Missy.
Oh, I missied you, pumpkin patch.
Don't come for my phrases that I inadvertently stole from the West Wing and didn't realize that I stole from the West Wing.
Which you totally stole from the West Wing.
I did.
But Kenny, I like that they didn't hold off on Kenny. That could have been a very easy, like, drag that out. Instead, right to it, his issues with them. I kind of like that he's like, hey, we were doing something here and you're back to ruin it again. Is kind of a fun story. I mean, his whole tale of like, we had these two Shih Tzus and they just kept like he got a Dookie chant going. I can't really hate him for that. They're telling an interesting story with Okada because Okada's saying nothing. Not even bitch.
Not even bitch. Not even bitch. I think this was a smart move because I think it helps rescue this angle from the depths of hell. And I feel like this was inevitable, like because the Young Cucks were always going to be stuck between Kenny and Okada. So I like this idea, and I think it was clever to let's just do it now. I think was a good call. Kenny is just so unbelievably over. Let me ask you this. If Will Ospreay beats Jon Moxley at All In, let's say Will Ospreay wins the Owen, because it feels like Swerve and Hangman, they just can't quit each other. So whether that ends up being more of a feud or a tag program is to be seen. But if Will Ospreay beats Jon Moxley, is this next few months okay with you? You know what I mean? Like, can we buy time to there?
A long time, it feels like, but it's not actually that long.
We have one pay-per-view in between. That's part of it.
When is the Owen end? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm guessing the finals are at Double or Nothing because they tend to like to do that. And that's at the end of May.
Because if you set up sooner rather than later that it's Ospreay versus Mox, you can buy my time. You can buy time, at least for me, by dragging that out, because you kind of like in a best comparison I can make of like Royal Rumble winner to WrestleMania, where like I may be done with a champ by the time Rumble comes around, but if you know the next guy is just won, I can deal with that, because now there's, even if the champ has matches in between, I know where the story's supposed to end.
Sure.
So that's what it comes down to when they start selling Ospreay as the next guy, if that's their plan. If
it's Darby, I feel, for me, it's a no.
I just don't want it to be Darby.
I don't think it can be, because I don't think he's back in time from Everest, and to assume he's going to be in wrestling shape after climbing Everest is nuts. But I just feel like my
don't
big
they have
thing,
a giant zip line from Everest down, so it's like a really quick descent.
I just feel like you're here for the zip line.
That's all I want. But my thing
Mike
is,
from Adventure 365 said you were too rough on the ropes or whatever. Best sketch ever.
my thing is, it's not even that I dislike the idea of Darby being champ, unlike your Tuesday night co-host. I don't mind if Darby wins. It's that this is not a story for Darby anymore. It's so left that it's unbelievable. The story Darby made sense when they were very heavily early on focusing on we're changing AEW, we're killing your heroes. But that's stopped. That is no longer the story. So Darby doesn't fit. AEW doesn't need a savior. They're not destroying AEW as much as Mox keeps saying it. That's kind of like the hypocritical nature of Mox, is that like no matter what he says, he's just another guy. So,
well, and there's something naturally hypocritical about saying everybody else has egos, but you have to be the guy to stomp them out, right? There's just like naturally something very hypocritical about that. So for me, Darby's a no right now. You would have also had to tell a different story to get there. Even like you alluded to my co-host on Tuesdays, Alex, who hates Darby. But even he said, if you're going to do that, the story you have to tell is this whole locker room is divided, right? You have heels on one side, you have faces on the other, and the faces choose Darby as the unkillable golden child to be the one to dethrone Mox because of their history. And like, you go get Mox, we'll keep running off all the other guys on the outside, basically. So I feel like that whole possibility is gone too. So I think it's got to be Ospreay, unless you're going back to the Swerve Hangman story with the title again. But I feel like they're headed toward smooching. I think they're gonna
smoochy. I mean, part of the problem too is though, like, I hate to say it, Swerve kind of screws up the Darby story in the sense of like, there was a story if you wanted to say that Darby would be the only one who is sick enough to go to the level that Moxley needs someone to go to. But you have Swerve.
You do.
So
but
like
Swerve and Darby have that history too. So I'm like, you could have just put it. There's so many reasons you could have put it on Swerve, but I think everybody feels that way and knows what they are. But let's keep moving along here, because we do have Swerve and Kenny bumping fists. They're on the same side because Swerve says it's buck hunting season. But as he's talking, Pac jumps him. But he does come down to stand on the same side as Kenny Omega in all of this. So they at least have. This was obviously not the original intention, but they did. Is it a good enough job? I don't know. But they did a decent job tonight trying to create connective tissue between all of it. And I appreciate the attempt. I still feel like time will tell if it works out. Time will tell if it works out. But guys, leave a thumbs up. Keep chatting along with us as we work our way through this episode of AEW Dynamite. I love when wrestling dovetails. I know that's kind of a corny thing to like about wrestling, but I love that Swerve came out for this. Pac jumped them, and into the Swerve versus Pac match we go. Seems for sure like Pac suffered an injury, which fucking sucks. This ended pretty quick.
Is it legit? Has it been reported as legit?
It's not a work. I'll put it that way. Whether it legitimately needed to end the match, I don't know, but it was enough of a scare that it ended the match and it as a shoot. So it was not a planned spot, which fucking sucks. But that's a bummer. The injury bug keeps bugging along, keeps biting along. But I was so looking forward to this and that it obviously ended early. We still had an overrun, which is nuts because that match ended so early, but I guess people just take up oxygen as things go kind of along. Nothing to say about that other than it sucks unless you have caught anything in that match that you were like.
No, I
that was
mean, you
cool.
say you like when wrestling dovetails. I like when it ducktails. Oh, woo!
Woohoo!
That's
I'm with
really
you.
all I wanted to make that joke.
I'm with you. Hello, Maria. Hello, Fernando. Thank you guys for joining us. We get some promos for this 8-man $400,000 tag that is coming up. This is so much fun. The word of the day is back. That's the most important part to know is that and what was that, entrepreneurial, I think. What a fun ragtag of guys that we have in Speedball Mike Bailey, Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight, and Mark Briscoe. They take on the heels of Ricochet, Beast Mortos, and Action Andretti and Leo Rush. We're gonna circle back to the Hangman and Swerve promo that came in a second, but I wanted to get to this first. This was fun. Kind of figured that the faces were gonna win because why not? This was more for all the money on the line and the fun of it all, and getting to highlight Speedball and Kevin Knight consistently on television, right? The thing that occurred to me in this match was I feel like Will Ospreay wrestles a lot. And I know a lot of you are saying, duh. Like, of course, you're going to have Will Ospreay wrestle a lot in your program. But what I mean by that is he wrestles a lot. Like, he's in a tournament right now. And this is an off week, and he's still in a match. He was on a go-home show, and he wrestled on the go-home show. He flies back and forth from England to do this. He seems like he loves this shit. That's what everybody loves about him the most, is that he loves wrestling. But I was just thinking about that. Like, I think he's in a ton of matches for a guy who flies over from England every week, is a top talent. They're not like, oh, we have to protect him because he does all this crazy shit in the ring. Like, no, that's not the direction that they go. They let him go at it. So this was super, super fun. Like, this was when they were walking down the ramp together, I was like, this is just the silliest fun group of guys. And Mark Briscoe always tends to be in those amalgamations of people. So I don't know. I had a blast watching this. It didn't really mean anything or do anything. Ricochet makes another meme face that we'll be talking about for generations. But what did you think of the 8-man that we got? And can you give me $400,000?
If you give me 800,000, I'll give you 400,000.
Well, no, that's not how that works.
It's the only way. This is like Shark Tank. All right, we got a wheel and we got a deal. I actually like that they made this for money because
it's old school. I love that shit.
It's old school, and it was not a throwaway, but it was kind of like a throwaway 8-man tag. But it gives it purpose, a reason for these guys to care. Hey, why did these guys in this match care? Oh, I don't know, because they'll each get $100,000.
Yeah, just for winning a match.
Yeah,
it's super fun, and Mike Bailey gets it Canadian, so
he gets like $2 million.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good situation for him.
Well, he better get those Canadian dollars before they convert to US when statehood.
Well, let's hold our horses on that.
Super political now.
We are if the Mark Order is anything, it's a political hot take machine. So let's keep rocking and rolling. We get the next, I don't want to say chapter because it wasn't a chapter, but set of pages in the Hangman and Swerve saga. You got Hangman running into Swerve's locker room and looking for him, threatening Prince Nana. And he makes it abundantly clear that he didn't come out to help Swerve. That's not why he was there. No, And Nana tries to apologize for everything, but he doesn't want to hear it in the way that he's not dismissing it. He can't hear it. Because if he hears it, he has to face what he's done. Like, the acting from Hangman is insane. Like, the way he dismisses Nana isn't like, I don't want to hear your bullshit. It's like, if I hear you be accountable on behalf of Swerve for breaking into my house, then I have to face down the fact that I burned down this man's childhood home and that there were needles stuck in cheeks and all these things. Like, it, the nuance of Hangman, it can't be overstated, even though it's frequently stated. Like, it's so obvious that it's like I can't hear this from you because then I have to live with myself. Not like I don't want to hear that. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Give these guys an Emmy at this point. Nana's great in this too. He's not silly, goofy, dancing Nana. He's like, listen, man, like, I regret, and then Hangman cuts him off. The shit rules. What did you think of this?
I think his nuanced acting is overstated, so I prefer you not to state it anymore.
State it.
No, I do like that. No, I wasn't coming out to help him. How dare you think that thing that I was clearly going to do? Which I said on Sunday, I made a point is that every time Hangman acted, there was no clear target. When he's setting up for the buckshot, they even pointed it out tonight. I love that they pointed it out tonight.
Yes.
Like, so that it could have been either. And then when he actually did attack Mox, it was only because Mox came after him. It wasn't only, but Mox came after him.
First place, Ryan.
Yeah, but no, my point being is, like, was he going in there to hit Swerve? But he ended up fighting Mox. Like, you just don't know. There's ambiguity. So what I need is a moment where there's a hug.
I need a kiss. They need a
No. You're 3 steps ahead, okay? First there's the hug. And then they get used to being close to one another, and then the kiss. But I just need the hug to let them know that it's okay. And it's not their fault. They're safe. I mean, it's so clear what they're setting up, and I'm not complaining about it at all.
Yeah, it certainly feels like they're headed toward, because the other side of this is you have the Hurt Syndicate with the tag titles, right? And Swerve has history, obviously, with them. So I'm wondering if they are not as long for those tag titles once these two enter the fold as a tag team. I think that could be a really fun program if that's the direction they choose to go in. Could be very, very fun. And speaking of the Hurt Syndicate, they come out. We're going to talk about Tony Schiavone scolding FTR in a moment. Very coiffed on commentary today, by the way.
Yes.
But MJF says, after I helped you out this weekend, and we heard people chant in the crowd. He didn't say that, but I said it. He wants to know what the initiation is, and Bobby Lashley cuts him off. They get in this little talking over each other thing. It kills me every time MJF calls him Bob. Bob! Lost it. Absolutely lost it. MVP says you need 3 thumbs ups if you're going to join. And before they can even get to sulking Lashley, Shelton Benjamin gives a thumbs down and they leave the ring. And MVP just kind of says, I'm sorry, man. And later we get this really good backstage where MJF is like, what the hell do I have to do? And he was like, you know my reputation, right? And MVP's like, yeah, that's the problem. We know your reputation. And that's why they're treating you like a bitch. And he says, MVP tells MJF that you must find what your consumer wants in business. So, first of all, I think, it was Alicia Atu, by the way, who was interviewing them, and MJF came in and insulted her. And they are very much a couple in real life. But I like these continued layers here. My only complaint about this is they should have had to turn around in their chairs like the Voice. Like MJF should have pleaded his case, and they would have had to like press their little button and turned around in their chairs. That's my only thing. Your thoughts?
I do appreciate that they never got past. Damn it! I just lost sight of a bug. I do appreciate that they never got past Shelton. Like it didn't do one of those things where it had to get to Bobby. It was like, nope, right from the start, you're done. We all hate you.
Yeah, I really liked that. I really liked that too because it was the predictable tiebreaker, right?
What I also appreciate is that Max is playing a game here, and you just can't figure out what the end is, what his end goal is.
Well, he keeps telling us too that he just wants these guys around for protection so he can go after his Triple B because he's smart, having someone to even out the numbers game. And who's going to even out the numbers game better than the Hurt Syndicate, right? Like who's
That's
going to be a force. So I like that justification from MJF that
I'm here. My camera is off, but I am here.
I can see you. Oh, now I can.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
This is very weird and unfair that I have to be on the big screen with my face like this today. It's just rude.
I'm hunting a bug.
Would you get back on camera?
No.
Child. Well, I'm going to talk about this FTR injuring Cope video package that we get. And Tony Schiavone, I can't even say he does the dad, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed thing. Because he is mad. He is mad about this. And he is very like betrayed by all this. He's like, everybody knows that Adam Copeland, and I think we've dropped Cope. I think he's going by Adam Copeland at this moment because he's off screen. It's like everybody knows that Cope had a career-threatening injury that made him retire via an injured neck, right? And how dare FTR do such a thing as they've done? I am very disappointed in you. FTR gets grounded. Their car keys get taken away. Brian, you got to lock in. What is going on over there?
Oh, dude, there's a giant bug and I lost it.
After all that pomp and circumstance, you lost the bug?
I don't know where it went.
Grow up, man. Make
I'm
it
not
happen.
afraid. I just wanted to kill it. And I shut off my camera because I'm not wearing any pants.
Hey! Well, now I'm just disappointed that after all that, you didn't kill the bug. How unsatisfying.
Me too. I don't know where it is, though. That's not that I'm scared of it, but it's just like, that's a lot of work to not kill
Scaredy cat.
It wasn't a spider. Spiders scare me. Nothing else does.
I'll tell you that I am vegan up until bugs. Kill them. Kill them dead. I be kind to animals except for ones that have like all the creepy legs, egg crawl. No, I'm the highest hypocrite in that regard. I will, if there's a fly, I will snatch it in midair if I can. Now you look like you're partying because your hands are up in the air and you just don't care. Good deodorant.
That's where it was.
Have no pit stains.
I'm classy like that.
Did you get it?
No, it's gone. And by it's gone, I mean it's gonna crawl on me at some point.
Oh, that's even better because we'll get to hear you yelp. Like
I won't yelp.
Girl.
I won't yelp.
It'll be like we were at fireworks where we just jump. What did you think of Tony Schiavone scolding everybody? Scolding FTR specifically.
It was funny. Made me laugh.
Did you notice how coiffed his hair was?
He was very coiffed.
He looked like out of the 20s or something. It was very coiffed. Anyway, FTR is so grounded. No after school
TV,
privileges for them. Yep. They are so grounded. But let's keep moving along, guys. Get in your chats along with us. I almost said super chats, but not yet. Someday we'll get there. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Let's get this Jericho stuff up and over with. We get Jericho who comes out for TV time with Big Bill and Brian Keith. Bill tells Jericho that he's not there to be his punching bag anymore every time something goes wrong. Because Jericho kind of had come out and said, I was hoping all three of us would leave with titles, but Bandito did what he did and you guys didn't win. Jericho is frustrated. He's disappointed. He smashes the Jeritron on the way out, which kind of doesn't have the same effect when it's a flat screen TV of a reasonable size. Like you're not like crashing anything. But we see Jericho leaving the get it. We also see Jericho leaving the arena, and he smashes like a concession tray, and then he just leaves. And to my knowledge, he was planned to depart. Like he was planned to take a break from AEW. I had heard it was supposed to start earlier, but the Bandito injury delayed things. So he really might be leaving, but like that's very, very unsatisfying. I'm wondering if they did it that way so that when he does come back, he comes back healed to a mega face, Big Bill and Brian Keith. But no payoff whatsoever. Like, I don't know, man. Felt weird. Felt real weird. What did you think?
Well, did you hear me yelp? No, because I didn't yelp when the bug crawled on my arm, and it did. That's how I found it.
That's disappointing.
Now it's killed in a tissue and then locked in a bottle.
Tissue? It doesn't even know you.
But he was not mad. He was just disappointed.
That is true.
Unlike Shivani. Yeah, it's kind of unsatisfying, but
that's Jericho for you of the past year.
Yeah, it's also different though. I don't think I can remember ever seeing a wrestler take a break like this before, like in this style. So
yeah, the reason they don't do that is because it sucks.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, because it doesn't help Brian Keith or Big Bill at all.
That's the thing. My guess is he's gone for a few months to go on tour. They find themselves as a tag team, and he comes back and is jealous of the success that they're having, right? And then, I don't know, probably Sammy Guevara and him have a tag feud with them. But man, I don't know.
Yeah, because if you come back that way, they haven't beat him up, so he can come back pretending he's their friend still, but secretly hating them.
Or he'll just attack him. But we'll see. I found it very lackluster. Like no payoff whatsoever. I think we've been waiting so fucking long for this to end. I thought we would get some sort of like comeuppance, but nope. Hello, Mike Peterson.
No comeuppance.
Thanks for joining us. We are working our way through Dynamite. We don't have a ton to talk about. These one-on-one episodes I've been doing with you fellas have gone much faster. I thought maybe you were just the problem, but I guess not. But you're not singing a lot or doing a lot of punts. Well, obviously.
I'm having a distracted night. My audio went, my camera went, then a bug was crawling on me. It's been a night.
Ryan, fucking lock in.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
There's a fucking tiger in the bathroom, if you remember from The Hangover.
Oh, I remember.
I always forget about the goddamn tiger. It's one of the most underrated lines in cinema history. But let's switch over to the ladies' action. We get Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford telling Renee Paquette that Megan Bayne will be on Collision. And Penelope Ford basically says, what, just because Tony Storm got lucky, you think that the Megasis is derailed? Nuh-uh, my friends. And then we move into our Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament match. I wrote Foundation twice in my notes, and when you're dyslexic, that fucks you up. Tony Storm is on commentary for this, which is fantastic. She crawls over the rest of the people in commentary. She says, I forget, it wasn't Megan Bayne, but she said when somebody dropped her, she lost a few inches, and when she saw Tony Schiavone, she got them back.
When Statlander dropped her, she lost 3 inches, but when she saw Schiavone, she got him back. And then the same thing happened with Megan Bayne.
Which is, like, I love when she genuinely paralyzes commentary. Like they don't know what to do with some of the
Well-
things she says. It's so fucking funny.
So she had a couple. There was if Statler and I were a team, we'd be Thunder Thighs. It was Rose and I were a great team, Thunder Tits. If Statlander and I are a team, we'd be Thunder Thighs. Tony, if you and I were a team, we would just be Tits. And then the one where I think she stopped commentators dead was when she said, "Children, why don't you try this at home?"
Yeah, that was so good. That was so good. Ryan, she's 29 years old. That's what gets me about this.
She's
She's
born in
29.
1929.
She was born in 1929. But like, she's not even 30 yet. Like,
No.
she's at the beginning of what most people would probably say like your prime years are. And she's a 4-time AEW champion. She's won it basically as 4 different iterations of herself. It's fucking crazy. Like the ceiling for this woman is non-existent. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. She's a hoot. Chris Statlander beats Tony Thunder Rosa, excuse me. One thing I've appreciated about the women's bracket, I figured Chris was going to win this, but because All In is in Texas, I thought maybe they'd send Thunder Rosa to the finals, like as a nice thing. I feel like Mercedes and Thunder have kind of like danced around each other a little bit. So have Thunder Rosa and Athena, like they're just like talking online and in interviews and stuff. So I was like, she's kind of like a dark horse for this. I didn't know who was going to win. I feel like that's true with a lot of the women's stuff. Like I think we assumed, right, that like Thunder Rosa Athena and Mercedes were going to meet next week, but there's interesting stories in either way with that. So I've appreciated that it's less predictable, and also the caliber of women in it is just insane. But this match was fun. I wouldn't mind seeing them run this back outside of a tournament context. It's good that Chris Statlander is still being made to look strong on TV, because after all the stuff with Willow, she was doing some important stuff, but she hasn't found like the force that she did maybe in that storyline. So I am glad to see this. Good for Chris Stat. Good for Thunder Rosa. Wish this had maybe opened the show or gone on in a different spot. It's a tournament match. Like, you could have done better, but I'll take it. What did you think?
Match was fun. I mean, heavily overshadowed by
Fun?
commentary. What?
Fun? How many funs?
What? I'm gonna give this a solid 3.
Okay, 3 funs.
A lot of fun. Commentary, on the other hand,
A 4. A solid.
So commentary kind of overshadowed it a little bit, but not in a bad way. I'm with you. I like that they're trying to keep Stat strong after the Willow stuff. I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Rosa. She's still very good and very over with fans. So I think not having her go to this main event in Texas. Well, wait. She wouldn't have been in Texas. She would have had to beat Mercedes to go to Texas, wouldn't she?
Right. I just like for the intrigue factor, like maybe Athena costs Mercedes and Thunder Rosa does get the title shot or whatever. Like there were just even the idea of that being a part of the story that gets her to the finals, I thought would be cool. I think probably someone from the other side of the bracket is winning, because Athena's from Texas too. So there's like I just thought there were fun options with it, but
Don't mess with Texas.
far be it from me.
You're messing with it, and I'm telling you not to.
I'm not messing with Texas. I don't
Guys,
want
she's
anything to
messing
do
with Texas.
TBH, there's not a lot that I need from Texas. Jose Altuve and the Dallas Cowboys can all like piss off. But
Fair enough.
hey, Don Callis is with Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita, and he informs that everyone, because of injuries, it didn't occur to me until this promo that 2 people from his stable specifically are the ones that got injured, and Cage and Dougzilla. He's going to be looking for new members. This is going to surprise nobody that follows my content. Duke Hudson. Sincere Duke Hudson and the Don Callis family would be a fucking fantastic call and a problem because of one, he's like 6'5". He'd fit in there super, super well. Two, the style promo that he is for the Callis family would be fucking awesome. A lot of people only know him from the Chase U stuff, but because I was covering NXT from the horrendous inception of the 2.0 era, he and oh my god, what's his name? To the Moon guy. Oh my god, what's his name? Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes. Oh my god.
I was letting that play out.
Oh my
'cause I could see the
god.
gears turning.
No, I'm glad I thought of it on my own. He had this feud with him that ended up being a hair match, and I was blown away by the promos he gave into that in the very goofy world that was NXT 2.0. So that's where I kind of first fell in love with him. He's unreal. He's unreal, and the way that I want him in AEW because I think he's one of the very best wrestlers in the world. But like, when you are actually thinking of where people would get creatively paired, he'd be a fucking force. Him and Takeshita in the same faction, and him and Kyle Fletcher, they got a little Aussie connection. Man, I don't think his days are up. 1LT asking, like, I don't know how he's not signed somewhere. I can't believe after he did those post-release vignettes, WWE didn't call him back, because he could have just kept doing what he was doing on TV. But him and the Callis family would be absolutely insane. A lot of people thinking Josh Alexander, this would be a nice slot for him to fit into, because the promo wasn't always his greatest thing, and having like a violent technical guy could be something that's fun. Somebody that's juxtaposed Will Ospreay in the past too, that makes a whole lot of sense. Anybody else that you might want to see in the Callis family? Anybody that's in the company that you think might be a good fit for the Callis family?
I'm thinking like Lincoln.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of somebody in the company not used heavily that, you know what? Hear me out. I don't remember which one is which, so I'm trying to be respectful here. The one of the Iron Savages who was the good guy.
I do this all the time. I think I'm not even going to say it. I like that idea.
You know, he's a big boy.
The non-assailant.
Yeah, Bear Bronson.
Bear Bronson's the one without charges against him.
Yes, him. The good one. He's a big boy. Let him join the Callis family and give him something, since he lost his opportunity because of scumbaggery.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'll take that. Not mad about it at all.
1LT says Wardlow, but I think Wardlow's still hurt.
I believe Wardlow is still hurt. I know he got this much I know is true. Draw your own conclusions. He got pulled from a booking over WrestleMania weekend that he was booked for a long time. Whether that means AEW wants him on TV when he's healed to be his first appearance, or whether that means he's just not ready to go yet, I don't know. I hope he's close. I feel like he has to walk back into something with MJF, either for or against him, just because that's, I think, like the most unresolved loose end that he could walk back into. And it would also give something for Max to do that's title adjacent after whatever happens with the Hurt Syndicate here. So I think there's a couple of fun options for that kind of stuff. Hey, we have a new name for Adam Cole, Roddy Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. They'll now be known as the Paragon. If you are nerdy enough to follow wrestling talent agencies, I feel like they have to be represented by Paragon, who is Steve K and the former Mojo Rawley. Their name is Paragon Talent. I was like, oh, that's an interesting one. I actually really like that name, and I kind of like the idea of getting away from Undisputed whatever. Like, just turning over a new leaf with that. They haven't had Taven and Bennett around in a very long time. Like that all feels kind of like a past chapter. So let's move on to something new, and I think Paragon's a cool name. What do you think?
Trying to think of something weirder, but no, I'm gonna stick with Paragon. I was happy that they did it. Like you said, you haven't seen the other two partners that made up the kingdom.
Correct. Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. So like, just go to Paragon.
Yeah. Something new. Something fresh. Guys, that brings us to the main event. Please leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be out of here pretty quick these past 2 weeks. It's kind of weird. Kind of makes me feel itchy, to be honest, but I'm not mad about it. But we got the Ops versus the Death Riders. This is how you know AEW's in its groove. We're done earlier because there's less bullshit to talk about. Because outside of the main event, like, the rest of the product is cooking something delicious. So the Ops getting the win here over the Death Riders, Claudio and Wheeler specifically. All three members of the Ops choke out the Death Riders after the Death Riders kind of attack Hook for no real reason. Wheeler does. And Wheeler is tapping to Hook here. Marina Shafir hits Samoa Joe in the back of the leg with the chair. And then Samoa Joe calls the Death Riders the Dick Riders. Says the Ops want trios gold. Ryan. I know I say it all the time, and I know everyone says it all the time because it's fucking true. Samoa Joe, man. Give him every title, give him the world, give him a microphone for half a second, and he will make it the most valuable half a second on wrestling television. Like, this guy makes everything work and feel important, and I feel like nobody has liked this Death Rider stuff, but now I'm like, I want to see the Death Riders fight the Ops because Samoa Joe wants to beat their ass. He had said in an interview he doesn't like a lot of face-to-faces because he's like, if you're a man, why wouldn't you just beat that person up right now? I like that they let him have that creatively. And I like that that's his mentality because whenever he does speak, you know, he's going to be bringing fighting words to the table. Like, he does not have a lot of promos that are like, you did this to me and it hurt my feelings and whatever. This guy's just always like, he's either fighting or he's picking a fight, or someone picked a fight with him and it's a bad idea. Like, I love it. I hope that Pac can be in that match. If he can't, I'm guessing they just have Moxley in it because Moxley doesn't have to wrestle every week. So just, they do whatever they want anyway already, right? So you could just kind of freebird it, but let's hope Pac is okay. Your thoughts on the main event and that Samoa Joe is the best?
Main event was fun. I like that Death Riders took a loss. I think that shows some possibilities for the Ops. Samoa Joe's just the man. I mean, there's not a lot to say about the main event. I kind, you know, it was one of those things that the one problem with Death Rider stuff, even when it's good, it always is a clusterfuck, and so you're kind of always waiting for the clusterfuck. And that's why I don't have as much to say about it, because it's just like, even when I'm having fun, it's like this
again. Yeah,
exactly, this again. But I think the thing I'm happiest about is the emphasis on trios again.
I was gonna say, I think the good news of this is that the Ops are gonna win. I really think the Ops probably win this, and if Adam Cole is naming his group the Paragon, like, they'll probably get into something. And there's more trios now than there have been. So I think the good side of that is that you probably have them losing. The bad side of that is, like, I can't believe how rarely they defended. That you would keep Wheeler, Yuta, Claudio, and Pac on a shelf is fucking felony.
And I want to comment on this because I noticed this on Sunday when we were watching them live. Wheeler, in his build hometown of Philly, works the crowd really well.
Yes, he does. Wheeler is someone that you can tell when he's comfortable. He's always comfortable in an ROH ring. He's most comfortable in a pure match. And there's just something where it's like, when he feels comfortable and can trust the environment he's in, he's just on a different level because he's not. It feels like he's not occupied as much. Like he's just very, very, very in the moment of his wrestling. So I'm with you. He felt like very at home and wildly. A ton of heat. Heat Magnet Wheeler was really, really fun to see live. Really, really fun to see live. But that wraps us up. That's it. An hour 15 with like a 7-minute commercial break and an exposition to try and kill that bug, which finally happened.
I got that motherfucker.
God bless. God bless. But before we get out of here, we're going to tell you that you can support us at ProWrestlingTees.com. Go find the Mark Order store. There are 4 beautiful designs that you can choose from if you think the background of this screen is beautiful, because that's what it is. It's our logos. There are single-sided and double-sided options, so be sure to check those out at ProWrestlingTees.com. 1LT says, buy a shirt, and I would have to agree with our loyal friend. Buy a shirt. Do it. Ryan, where can people find you on the internet specifically?
People can find me on all our socials at Mark Order Pod. You can follow my history blog hereforhistory.com at _ here for history or at here for history, depending on the social. I should have a new one coming out maybe end of this week, early next week. I'm fine tuning it, and then one will be released. I have a schedule coming up, like an actual release schedule. So
hell yeah, love that for you. Don't follow me on social media. I hate it, but if you want to, follow Miss Kate Fave. I'll be mostly Blue Sky is like a very AEW heavy app. I've realized more than general wrestling. So Dynamite wise, that's usually where you can find me. I'm tweeting along like over there, or posting along, I guess I should say, over there. So that is where you can find me. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be dusting it off sooner than later, I think, but just been blessedly busy helping out at Fightful more. Started a new client. These are good developments, but they have been taking up some of my time. So, but we'll get back there. We'll get back there because I got thoughts and I don't talk about wrestling enough. So check out my own YouTube channel. But we're going to get out of here. And we thank you so much for joining. Please do leave a thumbs up on your way out. But this is where I turned it over to Ryan, who does commentary on how he does the outro from a production perspective.
all right. First, I click media assets, and then I click outro overlay, and then I go to show outro and I hit play.